Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City USA, a safe and trusted community where you can find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond, accessible to all who reach for the stars.
Good afternoon. I'm Moria Bowman, a homeschooled student from Gainesville, Florida. Welcome to the BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day. Our theme today is a day in the life of an inventor. We are your Stars and Stripes Career Day ambassadors, and we are led by our mentor, Lieutenant General Bruce Crawford. Thank you for joining the movement. You have joined a movement to give teens like you and me the opportunity to see firsthand some of the best careers in the world. BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day was started by a group of retired admirals, generals, and members of the Senior Executive Service. This gives kids like us an opportunity to see and be inspired by careers and just understand what is possible for us to do in life. The national director is Vice Admiral Walt Davis, U.S. Navy retired. And now on to Justin Graves.
Thank you very much, Maria. Good afternoon. My name is Justin Graves. I'm a college freshman studying computer science at the University of Maryland, and I have always enjoyed technology. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce our mentor, Lieutenant General Bryce Crawford, U.S. Army retired. General Crawford has over 30 years of experience leading men and women with the most advanced technology in the world. His last job in the Army was leading the largest IT organization in the federal government. Currently, he is a senior vice president at Jacobs Corporation and sits on several corporate boards of directors. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant General Bruce Crawford.
Well, thank you, Justin, Mariah, and Celia. And just wanted to take the opportunity to say good morning to everyone, and thank you all very much for being here. So in terms of the purpose, first and foremost, I tell you, what an honor it is. What an absolute honor it is to have the opportunity to participate in such an event of strategic import on a regular basis, where we get an opportunity to really showcase the art of the possible to our next greatest generation of leaders. And so a couple of things in terms of the purpose of this event. Really, it's about increasing awareness, for we believe that it's awareness that leads to opportunity, and that awareness has to do with STEM. The second thing is something I mentioned earlier. It's about illuminating the art of the possible in STEM careers. And so you're going to get an opportunity to hear from the best and brightest, in this particular case, a day in the life of an inventor. And my one challenge to the audience today is don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Don't be afraid to ask them about times that maybe things didn't go right and they actually failed. For it's the ability to get up when you get knocked down that's actually the big attribute that you're looking for that leads to the road to success. All right. And so again, we've got a great speaker lined up today. And I think everyone, you could have been many other places today, but you chose and made a decision to be right here with us, having really a good discussion about STEM and the importance of STEM in your lives in the future and opportunities for STEM careers in the future. All right, so thank you very much, and back over to our STEM ambassadors.
Hi everyone, I'm Celia, a senior from Sarasota, Florida, and one of your BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day ambassadors. If you're listening on Clubhouse, you can join this conversation live by visiting stemcityusa.com. Today we have Mr. Derrick Bailey, the first African-American electric car manufacturer in the United States, and he's going to show us what it takes to make a car. Mr. Derrick Bailey is an inventor. He created one of the nation's few electric car manufacturing companies. His electric car has an innovative patented system that uses gas generators to charge the electric cars. He is coming to us today from his interactive showroom in Atlanta, Georgia. Over to you, Mr. Bailey.
Sir, just popping in to let you know you're on mute. Is that better? Yeah, so again, I'll say good morning again. Everyone can hear me now? Yeah, so I'm Derrick Bailey. I'm the president of Derrick Automotive. We're America's and probably the world's first maker of electric vehicles that's controlled by minority management. A few years ago, working with some partners, we came up with a new technology for which we received 2 patents, one in 2015 and one in 2018. And one of these patents is for a new type of internal combustion engine. Gas and oil and gas has a very bad reputation in the world right now as we consider climate change. But actually, oil and gas is not the worst thing. The real problem has been with engines, and oil and gas kind of gets the blame. Engines can be boiled down to a few things that represent the efficiency of an engine, basically the size of it, how much fuel does it use, how much emissions does it put out. The world's engine that's in your car or your parents' car is probably a version that's called an auto engine. That engine is only about 22% efficient, which means over 80% of its fuel is not completely burned, and it creates a lot of pollution. You've probably heard of a diesel engine invented by a gentleman called Rudolf Diesel. That engine is about 32% efficient. It burns about 32% of its fuel and puts out the rest as pollution. And the diesel engine, while it's more efficient, the way it achieves that efficiency is create some pretty bad stuff as you consider its effect on the climate. Our engine, that's called a counterpoise engine, for which we received a patent, is about 52% efficient. So it's a measure of improvement over the diesel engine without all the negative aspects of a diesel engine. So that's our first patent. And then the world wants to move towards electric transportation. So when you're in business, or as you become a scientist, not only do you have to create the science, you also have to figure out how you're going to apply that science. So instead of allowing our engine to drive a bus or a truck or a train, our engine is used to spin our second invention, which is something that's called an amplidyne generator. That technology is actually U.S. Navy World War II technology that we remade. Sometimes it's good to start with the past to get a head step on the future when it comes to technology. So we improved this generator and we got a second patent on it. I won't get into the technical aspects of what makes that generator so much better, but the generator has proved to be 100-to-1 improvement over our traditional generator right now. So those are our 2 pieces. The engine basically burns fuel more efficiently, puts out a smaller carbon footprint, and it turns a generator that takes a 1 control watt input and does a 100 times better job of creating electricity than generators are now. So the way we're applying this technology is to electrify various types of transportation, and we're starting with an SUV and a van. So in simple terms, electric cars basically run on a traction motor and a battery. And the motor pulls power from the battery to propel the wheels. At some point, you guys have probably heard of Tesla and all the other new electric cars that are on the market right now. As those batteries deplete, typically we have to, what we term, pull over and plug in. In other words, you have to go find a charging station or go back home and put a cable on that car to recharge that electric car. What my technology does is allow us to get rid of that cable. Now, we do leave the option to use the cable on our car, but it's not necessary. So our generator, which happens to be very small, weighs less than 100 pounds, but it puts out the power of a much bigger generator, which is why we have the patents. There's a big improvement there. The sole function of our technology is simply to recharge the batteries in an electric car. So the way our car is provisioned, it's not like a Prius where the engine and the battery both operate the car. All our generator system does that we call a Proteus. Proteus is the god of the sea who can take any shape. And our technology can pretty much take any shape to service anything from a car to a bicycle to a train to a super tanker. And so we're just basically in the business of creating low carbon electricity to be used in transportation. So our generator sole function is just to make electricity. Cars run on what's called a kilowatt hour of electricity. So, you know, the really fast Tesla cars have like 80 kilowatt hour battery in them. Some of them have 130 kilowatt hour. So whether it's a power plant, you know, from Duke Energy or our Proteus generator, all we're doing is creating kilowatt hours of electricity to power these electric vehicles. This is what a lot of people don't realize about electric vehicles, though. When you plug an electric vehicle into the power grid, some of you guys who are starting to study science and electricity, you may know this, but one of the biggest consumers of energy is the power grid. Fully from 15% to as much as 40% of every kilowatt hour that's produced at a power plant is lost to the electric lines before it gets to that electric car. So while we support electric transportation, we don't necessarily support vast numbers of electric cars being charged from the power grid. Because when you do that, we know as scientists that a great deal of that power is going to be lost. So we think that's bad conservation. Now that the market is being introduced to our technology, which actually creates the kilowatt hour of electricity at the point of use. And we're in the process of proving, and to some extent we have proved, that we create that kilowatt hour of electricity at about the same carbon footprint as a power plant. So why have those transmission line losses? So that's the, you know, pitch for our product. And I'm certainly happy to answer questions about that later. But as I look in the chat box, you know, we have a few other questions, you know, that I'll address. One question is, where do I see Derrick Automotive in 5 years? Well, the way Derrick Automotive is structured is, like I explained to you, we have a core technology that can take many shapes. So our company has divisions for each one of those shapes. So in other words, we have a division for our SUV, we have a division for our van. And we're in the process right now of taking one of our divisions, the van division, to what's called a public offering. Maybe you guys may know what that is. It's like, you know, it's the stock market. The public is allowed to buy into the company, and hopefully the value of the company increases. So we believe in the next 5 years that our first division should have a market capitalization of somewhere around $10 to $20 billion. And we think that the success of that first division should propel the success of our future divisions, which would be using our technology for a new generation of home generators, a new generation of school buses. We're looking to electrify trains and also to electrify boats. So you'll notice even companies like Tesla haven't been successful in electrifying something like a boat, simply because a boat pulls so much power in one instance that the batteries to power that boat would have to be so big that sometimes the batteries could weigh more than the boat. So it's called a battery density problem, something that you guys might want to study in your science class. So we're not solving the battery density problem. What we're doing is getting around the battery density problem by constantly using our generator to recharge the battery. And it does it like a supercharger, so it's very fast. So it allows us to implement electric vehicles even before we solve all of the battery problems. So we believe in 5 years, our company should be a multi-billion-dollar corporation that is on the same level as a Tesla or a Rivian or something like that. As I think back to my 12-year-old self. When the students asked me that question, it brought to my mind, I used to be a prep boy at a Howard Johnson's restaurant, and I had a manager named Michael Brown, and he just walked by me at that prep table one day. I might have been 13, but somewhere around there. I started working at 12. I told him I was 17, so they would let me work, but I started working at 12. And he asked me, that old question, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I told him that I wanted to own a company like GM. Now, I had no idea that I would be in the car business, but, they used to have commercials on TV that said, what's good for America, what's good for GM is good for America. So that sounded pretty good to me. So in my mind, I said, I'd like to own a company like that someday. And Mr. Brown asked me, so do you think you could do it? And I told him a story. I was raised by a stepfather. I'm not throwing him under the bus, but some of you kids might experience some of the same thing. I said, I went home, I'd said the same thing before. I wanted to own a company like GM. And my stepfather, he said to me, son, and he was trying to be protective. He said, son, you're Black and you live in America, and it doesn't work that way. He was a postmaster. He worked at the post office. He thought that was a pretty good career track for me, but I rejected that career track. And if you guys, have dreams for yourself, you should reject it too and follow your passions. Sometimes, they can come true. So another question here is, why electric cars? Well, we developed the technology first. So, we had a bright idea about using a small generator to take electric cars off of the power grid. So it kind of worked backwards. So we're technologists, and then we had to decide how to apply that technology. And so electric cars made a lot of sense. And growing up, I have to say, I really didn't have a mentor. I can remember clearly as a kid, I would just sometimes put on a suit and tie and just go into town where I knew businessmen were. And I would just hang around and watch, what they did. And I would ask them, what do you do for a living? And, how do you make money? And, I guess they thought I was cute, and, they would answer my questions. And then I had the habit of, since I really didn't have a mentor, there were some people who I just noticed that they were successful, or I noticed that they loved their wives, or they had great kids or something like that. And so I just borrowed attributes from people who I respected. So I kind of made myself up. So I didn't really have that single role model either at home. One of the people who I modeled myself after was one of my teachers. We had a family insurance man who was very successful when I was a kid. I borrowed lots of attributes from him. So you really have the ability to just, make yourself. It doesn't have to come from your immediate circle. I mean, you could look at the attributes even of the general and say, you know what, I like this about him. I like the way he treats his family. I like the way he does this. I like the way he does that. And you just decide, that's who I'm going to be. And that's basically what I did. I just decided what kind of guy I wanted to be. And I just made myself that. My favorite subject in school was history. The reason I liked history, well, number one, I had a great history teacher. Teachers make a big difference. And my rationale for liking history is I always knew somehow that I was going to be in business and that I would have to deal with people. And I thought that knowing a person's history is probably the best way to understand them, not just the individual, but the culture of people. So, if I want to sell Chinese people a product, I think it would help to understand their culture, understand their history, where they come from. I can relate to them better. And I think that applies across the board. So I loved history because I love studying cultures and people. And I used to love shop. I'm a pretty handy guy. So technology is a lot better when you can actually, get some tools and build a simple prototype. I'm that guy. So, so to be in the technology business now, you might not expect me to say history, but but history was certainly one of my favorite subjects. So I'm just looking in the chat box here. The students are asking me some fantastic questions. Do I plan to apply the produce generator to any other types of electric cars? Yeah. You know, electric car business is a very difficult business to get into. It requires an extreme amount of capital and lots and lots and lots of smart people. So I was lucky enough to get smart people even before I had the capital. And we've just worked together to get this far. So when you're in business, the first thing you need, or as a scientist, the first thing you need is what's called a proof of concept. And so our first cars are just basically our proof of concept, is to show the markets, to show people that we can actually build a car, that it actually works, and that it actually works and performs the way we say that it will. And so as we come through the process of proving that, now we're expanding our imagination into all the things that we can build. So if you follow Derrick Automotive, you're going to see that right now we have an SUV. For 2022, we have a new model of the SUV that will be appearing on our website soon. And we're already working on a high-end luxury car that will remind you of something like a Bentley. So that's on the consumer side. We also have an electric van that we're going to be launching even before Christmas. And we have a couple of secret projects. One we're doing with, or attempting to do with Savannah State University, where we're going to actually start a bike company that we're calling Tiger Bike. You know, the Tigers is their mascot. So we're going to launch a company on campus, a startup, and the students will be able to participate in that company from the startup phase all the way till we take this company public. And we're going to have mirror positions. So basically, you know, we'll have a president of that company who's a industry professional, and then we'll have a student that's his mirror. And that'll apply to marketing and accounting and all the positions that are required to make a company successful. So we think that'll be a unique approach to give students real hand-on experience with that company. So that's one of the things that we'll be putting our technology in, is a bike. And I came back from St. Thomas just last week. The islands in the Caribbean have real problems with electricity. So we're going to be working on a generator that will allow houses to come off the grid. We're probably going to run that generator on something like propane or some other clean fuel. So, you know, there are lots of products that can be derived from our technology. As I said before, the core of our business is creating low carbon electricity. And so that applies to almost everything. So look here in the chat box. I think I answered that question. Yeah, so we're already entering into the Caribbean. I'll be going to China in 2022. We already talked about partnerships in Dubai. I hope to go to Africa. I hope to go to South Africa. You know, as Americans, we can be pretty spoiled. You know, we hit a switch, electricity comes on. Still in fully 2/3 of the world, that's not the case. In 2/3 of the world, there is no reliable power grid, and they're consuming fuels that don't aid in climate change in order to create electricity. So we believe our generator's ability to burn more of the molecules in the fuel allows us to use greener fuels that are not as dense as gasoline and diesel, but produce the same power. So in other words, we believe that we can bring a new generation of clean electrification to the African continent, the Latin continent, and the Indian continent. So we fully expect to be international through various partnerships, actually in 2022 and 2023. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions beyond that, I can answer specific questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. That was a great talk. I am Adam Amisa. I am a high school senior at ASMS, the Alabama School of Math and Science. Moria and I have received a few questions and are going into the Q&A now.
Okay.
Moria, do you want to ask the first question?
Yes. If you could go back in time, would you do anything differently?
No, because then I wouldn't be who I am, and I wouldn't be where I am. But I can say that because I'm fortunate. I was always a pretty disciplined kid. So as I look at you kids, I was a kid like you guys. Nobody had to make me do my homework. No one had to make me clean my room. No one had to like really make me do anything. I was kind of like a problem-free kid. I always knew I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do, but I did know I wanted to make a contribution to the world, and I did know that I wanted people to remember that I lived in this world. So no, I wouldn't change a lot.
Thank you. How do you see Derrick Bailey Automotive entering the international market?
Yeah, well, I just talked about that. First, we're going to go into the Caribbean. It's kind of low hanging fruit for us, so we're probably going to be doing something in St. Thomas in the early part of this year. While that's a U.S. territory, it's a step into the greater Caribbean market. So we expect to do that, and we expect to be in Dubai and China this year, forming different types of relationship. And I certainly have the African continent in my plan. So I don't know exactly which country we will land in first, but yeah, you will certainly see a footprint in Africa for Derrick Automotive.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you, sir. Where do you look for your employees, and who works for your company?
Well, we have a great team of engineers in California. My partner, his name is Dell Warburton. He was a senior chief in the Navy, a Navy trained engineer, and basically he's hired the rest of our engineers. We have another engineer named Pulak Dat, who is a graduate at the University of Maryland. He's a mechanical engineer. We have Dr. Corey Austin. He's a former Goldman Sachs investment banker. When you're putting together a company, you're not really just hiring people, although you always have to make sure you're dealing with good people, but you're hiring skills. So, we have lots of skills in the company, from electrical engineering to mechanical engineering to investment banking to marketing people. Our oldest employee is 78. Our youngest employee is 26. So it's a broad range. We have, broad range of ages, a broad range of races, and even a broad range of nationalities. So we have the people who run our international division are Lebanese. So, Derrick Automotive is going to look like an American company.
Thank you so much, sir. May I ask for a tour of your facility next?
I'm sorry?
May I ask for a tour of your facility next?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm just sitting here. This is not our research lab. This is what we call our experience center in Atlanta. This is just like a little room I'm in right now. But if you come out here, I'm going to
That looks really cool. I can't hear you.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
So this is our experience center. I'll walk you around some. We have our products here. This is our first SUV. It's called an Avani. I think you can see inside.
That looks nice.
Pretty good looking car. This is the first car we've ever built. We're starting to get good at it. Another thing that I always, tell kids.
I can't hear you again. But it's a nice setup in there. Very cool.
Sir, you're muted.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that our products represent the struggle of starting a business, not the, we feel like once you're rich and successful, you can put that on Instagram. Our products are going to be worn by people who are actually out there trying to build something and change the world. Just our posters talking about our contribution to greening. And this is our new car for 2022. It's called the Avani. So it's a big improvement on the one that we have in the back. And this car should be in the showroom sometime before Christmas. So, lots of people come in and see our products and learn about our company. And we're in the process of building a big dealership and research center in a place here in Georgia called Fulton County. It's going to be 28 acres. We call it a chrysalis center. A chrysalis, is what a butterfly grows in. So we're hoping that it's a place where people can come and learn about us, but also become business people. And we're also starting our own crowdfunding portal to help like young entrepreneurs raise money and surround them with scientists and with art and with attorneys and accountants and everything that you would need to actually launch a company. So that's going to be a big part of what Derrick Automotive is going to be about.
Can you buy one of those cars online?
You will be able to buy one of these cars in about the next 30 days. We're going to start selling cars for delivery sometime this summer. And we're going to make our first 200 cars NFTs. I don't know if you guys know what NFTs are. Non-fungible tokens. It's something that you might want to look up. It's almost like a digital currency or a digital coin, but it's a part of the whole Derrick Automotive metaverse that those guys out there are working on right now. So you guys will be able to walk into like our cartoon world, almost like your STEM city. So we're going to build a Derrick Automotive city that looks pretty much like your STEM city.
I have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you study and what did you study?
Well, actually, I went to Virginia State University, which is a historically Black college, and I studied economics and marketing. So most of the things that I've learned about science, I've learned from working with other scientists. So they call me the applied scientist. They're the smart guys, and then I apply what they come up with. Because in every business, somebody has to decide how to run that business, and they have to sell something. And so they do the inventing, and then I put in like what the market wants. So while we're inventing something, we have to invent something that people actually want. And so it's my job to know what people want.
Okay.
Thank you for that, sir. Do you see Derrick Bailey Automotive developing a more efficient fuel or a less dense fuel?
Well, we are working on some fuel technology in addition to what we're doing. But that's not our technology. That's a technology that we're helping someone else develop. But the great thing about our counterpoise engine is that since we burn more of the molecules in the fuel, then even less dense biofuels can match the power of diesel in our engine. So one of the big reasons, people have been trying to switch from diesel to natural gas, but the guys who drive the trucks and operate the big equipment, they really don't like it because natural gas doesn't have enough molecules to burn, since the engine only burns, 23 or 32% of those molecules to actually give you that power of diesel, that has, compact molecules to burn. So since we burn between 53% of the fuel, even a less dense fuel produces more power in our engine. And so we think we'll be able to make a big impact in displacing diesel over time, because people use diesel for efficiency, but its contribution to global warming and climate change is humongous. So, we hope to be able to reduce that impact using our technology. And yeah, we have internships We have internships all the time. And one of our big initiatives, like what we're doing with Savannah State, is to actually go to college campuses and launch initiatives right on that college campus. And really nothing stops us from launching initiatives at a high school. We haven't done that yet, but it's certainly something that we'd be interested in.
All right,
So,
thank you for that.
You don't have anything else? I'll turn it back over to you students, and thank you guys for having us. Hopefully you'll go to DerrickAutomotive.com and get on our mailing list. And as you guys look for internships or look for jobs or whatever, hopefully you'll think of us. But first, you have to pay attention to your teacher, actually learn some things so that you're useful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for speaking with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, we have a question here, how people can contact me. My name is Derrick. You spell it Derek. It's the name on the company. So simply Derrick at DerrickAutomotive.com.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our Q&A. We're going to ask Celia to close us out for the day.
All right, thank you. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Bailey, and thank you to all of you for being a part of our movement. If you would like to learn more about careers like this, please drop your information in the chat or contact us at stemcityusa.com.